Hello everyone, hope you are doing well today. Let us discuss about life process in this video. Now I am going to deal with only the introduction part of the lesson life process, which is chapter 5 in 10th class CBSE. Let us dive into the topic. So before going into the topic, let me introduce myself. Myself Subhash Kumar. I have completed my masters in 2022. In the same year, I have cleared my CERT exam, which is a qualification test for assistant professor in the same subject of environmental sciences. And why am I here? Why am I explaining you biology here now? The reason is I am very passionate about explaining or teaching things, especially the biology. I think I have the capability of explaining the complex topics by simplifying them in the easy way a student can understand. In my experience of teaching, I found myself as a better teacher as I got feedback from so many students. Let us go into the topic now, and don't forget to comment whether my way of explanation is simple, student friendly or not. So let us dive into the topic directly now, which is alive. What does it mean to be alive? Anything which is living, okay? Anything which is living is alive. What does it mean about living? Let us discuss now. To say something is alive or something is living, we need to look after some signs which are obvious. What is the meaning of obvious? What is the meaning of obvious? It is compulsory. There should be some compulsory signs of living things. Okay, so let us see about them. We often see the visible movements to decide if something is alive. So to say something is alive, we need visible movements, right? Next, animals running and breathing. When an animal is running and when it is breathing, it shows some movement. Then we can say those animals are living. And plants grow over time. Can you see a plant moving anytime like an animal do, which it can run or breathe? No, right? Plants will take a lot of time to grow and to show the movement. So the plants take a lot of time to grow, and we can't judge at that point of time whether the plant is alive or not. Because unlike animals, plants won't die immediately. But animals, they will die immediately all of a sudden. Okay, but the death in plants is very slow process. That is the reason why it will take some days for a plant to die in general. But this is not enough. What does this statement mean? So if you say something, if you see some dog is running, if you see some dog is breathing, even though it is sleeping, that means it is alive. But is it enough to say whether it is living or not? In case of animals, that can be okay. But how can you say a tree is alive or not? And also, there are only some external movements you can observe in animals to judge whether they are living or not. But when it comes to some other functions of animals where they are internally going on, they can tell you exactly whether the organism is living or not. Okay, let us crack this now. A sleeping animal is alive. A plant that is not visibly growing is still alive. Just now we have discussed plants will take some time to grow, they will show very slow movement, at the same time they will die very slowly. With all these characteristics, we can simply say an animal is living. But is it only enough? Is that the only process going on in the animals? Only the movement? No, right? There are a lot of things supporting inside the animal. So now let us see about those real things which are going inside an organism. So the real requirement to say whether it is alive or not is now coming. Life depends on invisible molecular movements. Now there is an important thing in biology which you have to remember. Okay, in general 95% of times you can observe every word will have meaning in biology. Almost every word in biology will have some meaning. The words which have meaning in itself are known as self-explanatory words. So in biology, most of the words are self-explanatory. So my humble request to all the 10th class students especially is to learn the basic terminology of all the subjects. In all the subjects, try to learn and try to master the basic terminology and the definitions, meanings. If you can learn those basic things, I am telling you, you can understand any topic very simply. No subject is tough, no topic is tough. The only thing you do is you will skip those basics. As long as you are skipping the basics, you can't build up the subject. Okay? That is the real problem in these kids today. These days, this is the real problem in the students. So you don't be in that track. Please try to learn all the basic things about all the subjects. It is not too late now. When it comes to every chapter, learn, underline the new words which you don't know. Learn those words, then go into the topic. Okay? Then you will understand the topic very beautifully. Please do it. And also in the same channel, I will be posting the basics of biology, especially for you guys, 10th class people. I will be posting the basics of biology. There will be short videos of maybe 3 to 5 minutes about every concept, explaining very basic things in all the biology. So I'll be giving the link under this video also. Please do check. So now here are 3 words. One is invisible. Invisible. In means no. In means no. Visible means you all know what is visible, to see, or the ability to see. So the things which are not be able to see in, which are molecules. What are molecules? Molecules are made up of many atoms. Molecules are made up of many atoms. What is an atom? So this is how you have to learn. What is an atom? If you come across a word, you should know the meaning of that word. Then the subject is just a cakewalk. For example, take this pen. In this pen, if I go on cutting this pen, I can cut it up to the smallest point possible or the smallest particle possible, right? So that smallest particle where I can't cut it further is nothing but atom. So such atoms combines to form molecules in your body, in my body, in plants' body, in animals' body, everywhere. These molecules are there, which are made up of atoms again. So those molecules are making a lot of movements in your body, in my body, everywhere. Because of that movement, life is existing these days. Clear? Next, living structures such as cells and tissues are highly organized. What does it mean by a cell? What is a cell? Cell is a structural and functional unit of the living organisms. The definition of the cell: structural and functional units of living organisms. Tissues. Tissues are made up of cells. That means many cells combine to form a tissue. For example, if you take the wall as an example, in wall, what you can see? Bricks. So many bricks at the same time, when they are having one on the other, when they are arranged one on the other, they are making a wall. So you can relate cells to the bricks, walls to the tissues. That is how the tissues are formed from cells. Okay, they are highly organized. Okay, they are not scattered, but they are highly organized. What is meant by organized? They are arranged in a proper way. They are very specific. Okay, can I see with my tongue? No, tongue is made up of cells, and those cells won't support seeing. They only support tasting, right? Can I smell with my eyes? No. My eyes are made up of some cells where they will support only to see, not to smell. Can I eat with my nose? No. My teeth and my mouth is designed to eat, not the nose. So every cell is very well organized in its own way, with its own function. Clear? This is how the living organisms are very well organized. Now comes the controversial point, which is the environment causes the order to break down. What does it mean? What is environment? First of all, understand what is environment. Environment is nothing but the surroundings. Environment is nothing but the surroundings. Your surroundings is your environment. This causes the breakdown. As the organisms has built up themselves in this sophisticated way, the environment always tries to break it down. What does it mean? Why will the environment break? Let me tell you clearly. For instance, when you are a kid, you are too small in size. Now you are a grown up. How did you get that growth? What happened in this course of time to make you grow? What happened is simply you have accumulated a lot of things, lot of material, from the food that you take. By taking food every day, at least 2 to 3 times a day, you have grown up like this. Where did you get that food from? Maybe from animals or plants. So from those animals and plants, you have accumulated a lot of material. Okay, from where does the animals get the food? Obviously from the plants. Now, from where the plants are getting their material to build up? You are eating a plant which is material. How did a plant build it up? By taking some nutrients from the soil, right? So indirectly, you got all the materials from the soil to you. So now the environment's job is to send back the nutrients inside you into the soil back. So this is what known as nutrient cycle. So environment is always trying to complete the nutrient cycle and the living organisms are always resisting it. Okay, let us go to the next point. To stay alive, organisms must constantly repair and maintain. Organisms should constantly repair and maintain their structures by moving molecules. So what does it mean by repair? Re means again. So what is meant by repairing? Again combining. That means if I get a wound here, somehow I got injured here. What happens if that injury won't get cured? There will be a opening of flesh here, opening of my skin, and blood is exposed. My internal tissues are exposed outside, where a lot of infections will be happening here because of the microbial activity there, and that will be lifelong. But will it happen like that? No. Why? My body have some energy where my energy is helping me to live longer. At the same time, the environment is trying to kill me faster. So whenever my energy is more, as long as my systems in my body are efficient, when they are having good organization, good coordination, I can live longer. For example, what is the function of respiratory system? To extract the energy from the food that we eat. Okay, what is the function of digestive system? To give that food to the respiratory system, right? So what if the food is being carried by the digestive system and respiratory system is not supporting? Will there be energy extraction and energy utilization? No, right? So in the same way, all the organ systems and the organism should work very well organized. Then only the life will exist. If there is any breakage of the systems and their integration, there will be loss of life. Okay, next, let us move on to the next point. This maintenance requires constant supply of energy. This maintenance, all this comes under the maintenance of the body. Okay, it needs constant energy supply. So that is the reason why we take food for energy almost every day. Okay, I think you have understood this slide. Let us move on to the next slide. Now let us see some MCQs related to the topic that we have just discussed. Let us discuss about which of these following statements is correct with respect to the virus. You know about virus very well, I think, as you are grade 10 student. When it comes to the MCQs, I have a strategy to crack MCQs very easily. That is, you should learn the concept, you should understand the concept in such a way that you should give explanation to the incorrect option also. Generally, those incorrect options are called as distractors. They are distractors. You should explain why the distractor is not the answer. Then you can answer any type of MCQs which can be twisted and asked in the final exam. Okay, so you should prepare in that way to give explanation to the wrong answer as well. Why is it wrong? You should explain very clearly. Let us come to the first option A. Virus always show molecular, always, underline this point, always show molecular movement. No, they won't show always the molecular movement. Why? Because the virus are called as the connecting link between living and non-living organisms. Okay, they are called as the connecting link between living and non-living organisms. So When they are in the phase of non-living organisms, they won't show this molecular movement. So this statement is wrong. Next, they are considered alive because they can reproduce. No, they can't reproduce. Why? They simply alter the host machinery. What is the meaning of they alter the host machinery? What is the meaning of they alter the host machinery? They will simply enter into the host cell, and in the host nucleus, virus will give their DNA to that nucleus, and the host will think that it is replicating its own cells, and also without even its knowledge it will keep on replicating the viral genetic material. Okay, so they can't reproduce, they will manipulate the host. Okay, next, they show no molecular movement until they infect the cell. Yes, that's what we have spoke. Controversial point or exactly opposite point to point A is point C, which is correct. And they have a complex organized cellular structure. They have no complex, it is very simple. In fact, virus structure is very simple. It is so simple, not so complex. Okay, so the correct option can be C according to me. Okay, let us see in the next slide. And this is a short question from the textbook. Please go through this. What criteria do we use to decide whether something is alive? In the first topic we have discussed, the first slide. Okay, mention both visible and invisible characteristics, like visible movements. You have to talk about the visible movements and invisible molecular movements. Okay, this is a very short answer you can write. Next, why are molecular movements considered essential for life even when visible movements are absent? Even though there are no visible movements, the invisible movements are essential. Why? Talk about, there is a hint here, talk about the organized structures, environment and the maintenance. In the before slide we have spoke about the real requirement, right? So you have to talk about that real requirement. Let us see the next slide. Yes, here are the answers and explanations. Take a moment, pause this slide and you can go through the explanations. If you still have any doubts, just comment here mentioning the slide number or mentioning the topic so that I will explain you. Okay, next. Now there are life processes, right? So what are life processes? First of all, there are 4 important life processes that you have to remember. First one is nutrition. Let us discuss about nutrition now. Why do you need this nutrition? Simply read the definition now. The process of transferring a source of energy in the form of food from outside the body to the inside to be used as fuel. Food as a fuel and for raw materials. So nutrition is the process of taking in the food for constant energy supply, maintenance and repair of the body, and also to make a lot of new products in our body we need food, and that is in the material form from outside to the inside of body is nutrition. What is nutrition? The process of transferring a source of energy in the form of food from outside the body to the inside of the body to be used as fuel and for raw material. Clear? Next, respiration. What is respiration? What is its use? So just before I told you that the function of respiratory system is to extract the energy from the food given by the digestive system. Okay, so through the process of nutrition we got food into the body. Now the energy from that food should be taken out. That will be done by the process of respiration. Okay, let us read the definition. The process of acquiring oxygen from outside and using it to break down the food sources for cellular energy, which is ATP. This is very important point you have to remember. ATP. What is the full form of ATP? It is adenosine triphosphate. What is ATP? It is adenosine triphosphate. What is its use? Why are we talking about ATP now in the respiration? The reason is the food is taken in the material form. There are a lot of components in food. You know, there are 7 food components. What are those 7? Comment below the 7 food components if you know. And if you don't know, I'll make a video on that. Comment video on food components. Okay, I will make a detailed video on food components. Okay, next. So ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Imagine you are in USA. What is the money that you use there? Currency? Dollar. If you are in UAE, what is the currency you use there? Dirhams. If you are in India, what is the currency you use? You will be using rupee, right? So can you use rupee in USA? No, obviously. Can you use dollar in India? No. So each and every country has a specific currency. In the same way, the living cells have the energy currency. What is it? The energy currency. And that energy currency is simply the ATP for the living organisms. Even though there are a lot of another forms of energy, electricity is energy, wind is energy, solar power is energy, but only the cells can use energy in the form of ATP. Okay, next. The third system is transportation system. The third one is transportation system. So what is the function of the transportation system? A system that carries food, oxygen and other materials from one place to another place inside the body to reach every single cell. So we are multi-cellular organisms. We have many cells in us, not a single cell. Okay, so as we are multi-cellular organisms, so there should be the transport of materials from one system to all the cells. Okay, so that function of transporting materials in the body is carried out by the transportation system. For example, the oxygen is taken by the lungs. We know the respiratory system takes oxygen, but first of all, what is the function of oxygen? It works as a fuel that burns the food. So when the food is burnt, we will be getting energy. Oxygen burns the food. Clear? So that oxygen will be generally taken by the lungs, which are a part of respiratory system. From those lungs, all the other parts or all the other cells needs the same oxygen. So this is where the transportation comes into play, where it will transport oxygen to all the other parts. Let us learn how in the next slides. So in the same way, the food materials, at the same time the waste materials that are generated will also be transported by the same system. Okay, next let us go to the next system, which is excretion. Just now I spoke about the waste materials that are produced. So those waste materials should be expelled out. They should be sent out. Let us read the definition. The process of removing harmful waste byproducts created by a lot of chemical reactions from the body to prevent damage. Let me tell you an example now. We will be cooking every day, right? So while cooking, we will be generating a lot of waste. What happens if you keep that waste in the corner of a kitchen? If you keep on dumping the waste for a year, will your kitchen be good? No, right? It will smell bad. The same thing happens in the body as well. Whenever there are a lot of life processes going on in the body, there will be waste produced, and that waste should be sent out, or else it will affect the body in a negative way. Clear? Now, if you observe, there is a very clear relation between all the body systems. If you observe, the food will be taken by nutrition part, which is the digestive system, and that will be burnt by the respiratory system, and energy will be the output. Next, the respiratory system will get oxygen into the body, and that will be transported by the transportation system. At the same time, the food will also be transported by the transportation system only. Okay, so this is how these three are related. And during this respiration there will be a waste produced that will be carried out, which is CO2, that will be carried out by the excretory system, that is also a part of excretion. And the waste materials will be transported by the excretory system. So this is how the systems are connected to each other. Okay, so there will be clear coordination in between the systems. Let us go to the next slide, and this coordination is helping us to be alive. Next, let us see some questions regarding this topic which we have discussed just now. The processes which together perform the maintenance job in living organisms are called as life process. That is a simple very definition of life process. Short answer: what are the outside raw materials used by an organism? Think about their energy and growth. Okay, what are the outside raw materials used by an or used for? Remember this. What are the outside raw materials used for by an organism? Very simple word. The for changes the entire question's meaning. Generally, just like now I have read, you will be reading like what are the outside raw materials used by an organism, and you will be writing all the raw materials like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, amino acids, vitamins, all the nutrients in general, right? But what are they used for? What is the use of them is the question here. It's not about listing out the items. Okay, so read the question twice or thrice. If you observe in this video itself, I am reading everything almost 2 to 3 times. This is the meaning. Clear? Next, think about energy and growth. You will see the answer in the next slide. What processes would you consider essential for maintaining the life? You have to list out the 4 processes, which are: first one is nutrition, second one is respiration, third one is transportation, and the fourth one is excretion. You have to talk about these 4 systems. Okay, next slide. Just pause this and study the answers. If you still have any doubts, comment below stating the topic where you have doubt. Now let us move on to the next slide. Here we have a problem of size, and diffusion is not enough. What is meant by diffusion? First of all, let us see about the diffusion. It is a passive process. Diffusion is a passive process. What is meant by passive? There are 2 types of processes. One is active and the other one is passive. In the case of active, we need some energy to get that process done. Okay, when it comes to the passive, we don't need any energy for that process to be done. So in this case, the amoeba, which is a single cell organism, where all these life processes will be done by the single organism itself. Okay, so that single organism will perform all the activities for its livelihood. In that organism, this process of simple diffusion, which is passive, will occur where there is no energy needed. So in single celled organisms, the organisms which are having only single cell like amoeba, they need simple diffusion, because in this image I am showing the amoeba as a huge organism, but in this organism there can be millions of amoebas fit. Okay, that small the size of the amoeba. You have to see this through the microscope. You can't see amoeba with naked eye. It is that small. Okay, now the entire surface is in direct contact with the environment. If you observe, this is an aquatic animal generally. This is an aquatic. What is meant by aquatic? Water dwelling. What is the meaning of dwelling? Again, living. This is how you have to learn. Okay, so you need to know the meaning of every word possible. So this aquatic animal is surrounded in all the sides by the water. So as it is surrounded by the water all the sides and all the time, the gaseous exchange, for example, inside the body functions can be performed, and they will release the carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide gets very high inside. When the carbon dioxide is high inside, that means the carbon dioxide is low outside. The carbon dioxide is low outside. So the gases passes from high concentration to low concentration. That process is simple diffusion. CO2 will go out. Clear? And the oxygen is very high outside and very low inside. Low O2 inside. So what happens? Simply the oxygen will come inside. Oxygen will come inside. This is how without any energy need, the simple gaseous exchange will takes place in single celled organisms. They are also called as unicellular organisms. UNI. Uni. The word uni means one. Cellular. Unicellular organisms. Okay. In unicellular organisms, this will be taking place as they are in direct contact with the environment in all the sites. Simple diffusion is sufficient to get food, gaseous exchange, and remove waste. When it comes to the waste generated in the body also, the same happens. The waste concentration will go high inside, so waste concentration will be low outside. So the concentration is high inside and low outside, and that will be moving outside simply. The high concentrated waste inside the amoeba will slowly move outside to reduce the concentration inside. Very simple. That is simple diffusion. Next, when it comes to the multicellular organisms like you and me, the body design is very complex. It has a single cell, manages everything, but you have different system for everything. For respiration, you have respiratory system. For excretion, you have excretory system. For nutrition, you have digestive system. For transportation, you have circulatory system. So you have different systems to manage different functions. It is not in the case of amoeba. It is not the case. It has only single cell. The maintenance is very easy. But the maintenance and the workflow in your body is very difficult because there are a lot of systems to be coordinated, and all these systems are working towards the same cause, which is to make you live and to keep you alive, to oppose the environmental force of disorderedness. Okay. Next, diffusion is very slow. Diffusion is very slow because there is no energy spent there. As there is no energy, it is super slow process. Okay. If you have to take air is going into lungs directly through the respiratory system, but oxygen is needed by each and every cell to produce the energy. So how is the energy reaching to the toes? There should be a transport system. So that is the real problem we'll be coming across now. In the next slide, let us solve that problem. Diffusion is too slow to meet the oxygen and food requirements of all the internal cells. If you have to go with diffusion, maybe your body skin cells, maximum skin cells, even though skin is having a lot of layers in it, only the 1 or 2 layers of skin can be satisfied, not the internal organs in multicellular organisms. Okay, so that is the problem. Now let us see how the bodies and how the organisms got adapted to that. Now let us see some questions regarding the things that we have discussed till now. Okay, in single celled organisms like amoeba, no specific organs for exchange of gases are needed because they does not respire. They will respire because we just spoke about the exchange of gases in it, so that is respiration simply. It uses active transport. No, it is passive transport. I just explained you. The entire surface is in contact with the environment, mostly okay. It has specialized tissues. No, it has no tissues. Tissues are organized after the cells, but it is just a cell, so it is not having any tissues. So C is the correct option. Okay. Next, long answer type question. Why diffusion insufficient to meet the oxygen requirements of multicellular organisms like human beings. I told you, no, because of the body size, complexity, and the distance oxygen needs to travel. So you have to elaborate these points, and in the next slide I will show you the answer. Try to elaborate it. And also I will be giving you the answers as a PDF down in the link. Okay, I will be making a PDF and I will be giving you the downloadable PDF for all these answers. This is the answer. Pause it for some time and try to answer this. Okay, next, the solution is specialization. So we have discussed about the problem now, the gaseous exchange and diffusion in multicellular organisms. So we have discussed about it, right? The transportation in multicellular organisms. And we got a problem, and let us solve that problem now. Since diffusion won't work, multicellular organisms need a new strategy. Let us see what that new strategy is. Specialized tissues. Bodies, the human beings, if you see, there are a lot of changes in human beings. You know, the human evolution. Generally people will say that human beings are evolved from chimpanzees. No, not exactly the chimpanzees, but the similar species. We have been evolved according to the theory of evolution. Okay, so in this process of evolution, there are a lot of changes happened in human body. Why? To face the environmental stress at its best, the body is changing itself. The body is changing itself. So in that process, there are a lot of changes has been done by the body. The organisms developed specialized body parts for specific functions. If you observe in your body, just now I told you, no, there are different systems supporting different functions. Yet all are working together. Okay, example, lungs are taking in the oxygen and the digestive system is taking the food. Both will be combining together to give us energy. Both are combined together to give energy. Now there is another problem, the delivery, or how the oxygen is delivered, how the food is delivered. Now food and oxygen are now taken up at only one place. Example, lungs will take oxygen, just now I have discussed, and food will be taken by the digestive system, but all the parts of the body need them. What is the solution? That is where the transportation comes into the play. A system is needed to carry food and oxygen from specialized tissue to all other cells. Okay, need to be carried to all the other cells. This system also picks up waste and carries it to the excretory tissues. There are some tissues, especially like your skin, which are excretory. Material should be taken out to the skin. Through the sweat, you will be losing a lot of excretory materials. Okay, let us see some MCQs related to this. In multicellular organisms, a transportation system is needed because diffusion is too slow. This is the wrong option. Food and oxygen are taken up at one place, but they needed by all the other parts. Let us see the other distractors, even though this is the answer. All cells are in contact with the environment. No, not all the cells. There are a lot of cells inside you. They do not have specialized tissues. They do not have specialized tissues. No, multicellular organisms, they have very well organized and specialized tissues. So the correct option will be definitely the B. Let us see the answers in the next slide. Long answer. Explain how the complex body design of a multicellular organism leads to the need for both specialized tissues for uptake and also the transportation system. Okay, start with the problem. Diffusion is too slow. What is the first solution? And even in that first solution, we came across a problem, that is transportation. Discuss about the transportation also there. Okay, this will be the answer simply. Let us see the next slide. Pause it here for some time. See as usual. Next, I'll go to the next slide. This is the conclusion, what we have learned till now. The summary of this introduction video is: life is defined by molecular movement for repair, maintenance, which requires energy. So simply, why do we need energy? for the repair and maintenance. Okay, and along with the energy, there are a lot of molecular movements in our body that are supporting the growth and development and maintenance and repair. Okay, all these four aspects are clear. Next, maintained by energy. The four essential life processes are nutrition, respiration, transportation, and excretion. These are the four important life processes. Clear? Next, single-celled organisms use simple diffusion because the whole surface is exposed to their surroundings for exchange of materials. Okay, so that exchange of materials will be done directly by the passive transport. Multicellular organisms are too large for diffusion. That means diffusion can't meet the needs of multicellular organisms. So they require specialized tissues for uptake. After taking, the transportation system plays an important role in delivering the substances from the uptaking tissues to all the other cells. So this is how all life processes are working together to keep you alive. Okay, this is just the introduction part where you have to understand. If you can clearly understand all these things, the coming topics are very easy for you. To make them easy, I took a long time here now to explain you this. Okay, let us go to the next slide. If you have any questions, simply comment those questions. I will try to give you the PDF, or else if that question is very valid and if it is a common doubt among all the students, I will try to discuss as a video as well. Okay, please do subscribe the channel and like the video if you really like it, and share it with your friends if somebody who has to know this well. And if there is any problem with any other topics, just comment those topics so that I will be giving you the content in the best possible way and easiest possible way along with the materials. So if you want to get back to me, follow these connections. This is my website which is maintained by me, and this is my mail where you can mail me anything regarding the studies and education. Follow our Instagram channel. Next, this is Twitter. Maybe if you have access, you can follow there as well, so that we can be connected and we can be discussing all the things. And next class, my next class will be exclusively about nutrition in plants and animals. Okay, so till then, take care. Bye bye.